last week we were talking about collage, and we were talking about some of the ways to make an abstract collage. And so that's the whole theme of this month, is to mix it up with our mediums. So a medium is another word for the type of material that an artist works with. So like a ceramic artist, their medium is ceramic, is clay. A collage artist's medium is paper. A painting, obviously painter is obviously paint. So different mediums, lots of different mediums. Even photography, there's lots of different mediums. So this month we are kind of exploring some new mediums and trying our hand at something new. So I am doing all collage this month. Naleen is doing all watercolor this month. And both Daryl and Ben are using charcoal, so teaching charcoal techniques. So I hope you guys are experimenting and trying something new, because that is a sign of a creative mind. Is like, even if you might be scared of it, trying to do something that might, step out of your comfort zone a little bit and try a new medium. So last week we did a little bit, or we started with like an abstract collage. So a collage that was non-representational. So a collage that wasn't a specific thing. Today we are totally switching gears, and we are doing something that is very representational. And we're going to be making an animal collage. So it can be any animal that you want. It could be your own pet. It could be an animal from the wild. It's totally up to you. But I do suggest that you sketch out the animal. So you're going to sketch out whatever animal you choose. I want you to draw it first. And the reason I want you to draw it, and when you draw it, actually, I want you to draw it on a separate piece of paper, because I'm going to show you how I work. And I actually kind of already started a little bit, because collage is one of those mediums that takes a long time. It's just, it's kind of, I don't want to say tedious, but there's just the cutting and the gluing. It definitely takes a lot of time to finish a piece. So I don't expect that anybody has anything finished by the end of this hour-long class. It's more to just kind of show you my process, and you can take from it what you will. So one of the things that you're going to do today is you're going to choose an animal, and I want you to sketch a picture of it. So this was my bird that I sketched a little picture of, and I sketched this little, I think it's a cockatiel. I don't really know what kind of bird it is. I was looking at a picture and I was like, oh, I think that bird's cute. So I did it on a separate sheet of paper, and I'm actually going to cut out and around the bird in a second, because what I want to do is I want to start collaging the background. And the cool thing about collage is you're working in layers. So obviously you want to start with the back layer, the bottom layer first, and that's going to be the background of your picture. And there are a lot of different ways to make your collage. And I want you guys to start thinking, as soon as you have your animal chosen, I want you to kind of start thinking about what kind of colors you might want to use, because the colors that you choose can totally affect the mood of your piece of art. So you could choose to do, if you wanted to be more realistic style a collage, you could choose to do all like, depends on what the habitat of your animal is, but it could be like all natural colors and greens and browns. If you wanted a more natural style picture, or maybe you want to go something that's completely unnatural and you wanted to have your animal really pop or stand off the page. And maybe you choose to do like a bunch of, unrealistic bright pinks that you might not see in nature. So it's totally up to you, but you have to kind of make that choice before you start. So color can really affect the mood of a piece of art. And even like certain colors can make a piece of art feel cheerful. I always think bright greens and oranges and yellows and pinks always make something look kind of cheerful. More blue tones can potentially make something look a little more sad or a little more somber. It's just kind of, it's up to you. But I do want you to think about color because it's important. And I want you also to think about setting. So is your animal going to be in like a realistic setting, or is it going to be in a completely unrealistic setting? And neither, like either is right. It's there's no wrong or no right. It's just kind of it's up to you. All right, so let me quickly switch over to my other camera so you guys can see what I'm doing. Hope everybody's doing well. Nobody has their cameras on. All right. So Nikki does. Thanks, Nikki. All right. So so I kind of decided ahead of time what I was going to draw and what I was going to collage, and I also kind of thought about the mood that I wanted to create. So here's my little bird that I drew, and I want to collage in the background now, but I have a problem because here's the paper that I drew is like, here's my little bird. So actually, I don't want to just collage over my drawing. So I'm actually going to set my drawing aside, but I do want you to sketch out your animal first. And I'm not really going to talk too much about like how to draw your animal. That's something that like you guys can, I mean, you can always ask me like personally questions if you want any help, but like the drawing skills portion is something that that you can we can do another class on, but this class is going to be focused on just the collage aspect. So because we're working in layers, I've already drawn this little bird out, but if I start to collage my papers that I've started to cut out on the background, I'm just going to cover up my little bird. So I'm actually going to get a new piece of paper. And one of the tips is to start small with a collage. So here's my full sheet of paper. I actually kind of cut my paper in half, or I took like a fourth of my paper off just to make my collage, make my life a little bit easier so I don't have quite as much paper to collage. So I'm gonna go ahead and, oh, hi Liliana, hi Heather Rose, nice to see you girls. All right, okay. So here's my paper. Oh, didn't trim it evenly, let me fix that. It's okay, because I'm gonna go back in and I'm gonna like clean it up when I'm done. I'm gonna take my bird, I'm gonna put my bird over here. So I already know right off the bat that I wanted kind of like a somber, or more, I guess a more, not somber, but I wanted a more natural color palette for my background. So I already started, just to kind of cut down on time, I already started cutting out some of these pieces of paper just to kind of get like a sense of color. So I also knew that I wanted to keep the background of my collage relatively, all the pieces I wanted them to be in relatively the same shape. So I've been cutting out like long strips of rectangles. So I'm going to keep doing that. And then after I do that, I'm actually going to work from my drawing. Now for your drawing, you don't have to have too much detail. Like it's a really super simple sketch. I kind of just drew in the shape of the bird, and I kind of, with a little bit of shading, kind of indicated where the darkest areas of my bird are going to be and where the lighter areas of my bird are. And I'm going to use that as a guide when I start to collage my bird on top of my background. Okay. So it's totally up to you what kind of background you use. The paper that I'm using is it's like a catalog, and I'm pulling them all from the same catalog because they all kind of have the same kind of color palette. And like I said before, I'm kind of working all in little strips because I want it all to be kind of the same shape, because by making sure by using all the same shapes down here for your background, when you collage something on top of it, it's really going to pop out because it's going to look different from what is behind it. So are there any questions so far? Is anybody going to do an animal? Anybody, any thoughts on what you guys might do?
I'm gonna do a cat.
Awesome, I love it. I love it, Kat. Namesake right there. So once again, I'm using Megan Coyle as like my inspiration. She's my inspiration all month. And I'm using some of her collages as my inspiration because I just think her collages are so beautiful and bright and colorful. So here, I'm gonna pull up some of her pictures and I'll share my screen in just a second. And you guys can have a look because her collages are so interesting. They're just so bright and beautiful. Let's see here. Hold on, let me switch to my other camera, my FaceTime. And I will share. Here we go. So if you guys look over here, you can see some of her Megan Coyle's pictures. And you notice that some of hers, like it's not the entire animal. Like some of her images, like the fox and this pelican face, she's only doing the heads of certain animals. I love the perspective on that sea turtle. Like another thing to think about is composition. So are you doing your animals straight out, kind of like how I did my bird? Or are you thinking about like how the animal's moving? I also think this flamingo is amazing, that bright pink against the blue. Like you can tell she was really thinking about her color choices when she was making her collage. In fact, in all of these, you can really tell that she thinks through her colors, because her colors and her textures, because in all of these, the animals are really popping out on the page. It's not like they're hidden. And she does that a couple of ways, one by color. So if you look at that duck, that brightly colored duck in the middle, that's a good example of how she used all pieces of paper that were similar colors in tone. And she also was doing kind of what I was thinking, which is making sure all of her papers were kind of the same shape. They're all kind of squares or rectangles, and they're all layered on there. And that brightly colored duck, that really bold colored duck, just pops off of the yellow. And so yeah, there's a ton of animals that she's done. This isn't even all. I've seen a bunch more than even this. But so a couple things to be thinking about when you're making your collage. See, look at this cat, the composition. This cat is a good example of in the colors. The colors are actually kind of blended, so the cat is almost a little bit camouflaged with the background. But what makes it really pop are those eyes. Like she really used color to her advantage when she added that pop of blue in the eyes, and the white whiskers kind of pop out too. So yeah, so you should be thinking about composition, like where is your animal in relation to the page? Is it just one animal? Is it multiple ones? Is your animal coming in from like an interesting angle? So think about your composition. You also want to be thinking about your colors, which is what we've been talking about, and you also want to be thinking about your shape. So, and most of these, I'm noticing that it's a kind of a theme with her. In most of them, her backgrounds are all similar shaped pieces of paper. And it's only when you get to the actual animal, like when you look down at this lizard down at the very bottom, you can see that the shape of the paper that she's using kind of changes. So she gets into the details with her little pieces of paper on the lizard, but the background is all the same. Like, so the lizard might have different like triangular shapes cut out and different like little strips, but the background is entirely rectangles and squares. And that's true of a lot of hers. All the details are all they're all in the on the animals. And I love the perspective of the panda at the top. He's like, that's an interesting choice for an artist. Mostly, I mean, if you say, hey, I want to do a picture of a panda, I would say that 98% of the time you'll get a picture of a panda who's looking straight at you. But this one, the choice to have it facing away and eating some bamboo shoots is really an interesting one. Yeah. So I think those are some things to think about. Do you guys have any questions? I'm gonna stop this share. I love her work. That's why I wanted to share it with you, because I think that her colors are just beautiful. Her and just the way that she draws her animals is just so cute. It's just so clever. And you can tell that each of these collages that she makes is a pretty significant amount of work. Like she really puts a lot of time and effort and thought into her shapes, into her the craft of cutting out all of the pieces. Does anybody have any questions? Or anything they want to share? No, we're all good. All right. We are quiet today. We are quiet. So when I was thinking about mine, I deliberately chose a muted background because I really wanted this bird to stand and pop out. So I am cutting strips now, and I think when I glue these strips, I'm going to, first, before I even start to glue, I'm just gonna kind of arrange on this page. And it might be kind of interesting. You could do like an ombre effect. I wonder if I like organize them by like shade or tone. That might be kind of interesting. Before I ever get out my glue stick, I think it's kind of interesting to like play around with your pieces, because you might find a different way of organizing them. Oh, I kind of like the kind of, I'm just kind of sorting them by color a little bit. So I'm doing all these kind of muted browns, and then maybe it fades into these greens, more greenish tone ones. Let's see. I think I'm just going to keep them all in the middle. And I can cut away. Let's see if there's that one. Some of these are too short. I think I need more. In fact, I know I need more paper strips. So I'm going to keep going. That's too short. These ones are all too short. So I'm going to cut out some more, some longer ones. I like this one. That's kind of nice. So yeah, sometimes it's nice to work with like like all from one type of magazine. So more like a catalog. So because sometimes catalogs have like, there's like a look to them. So the catalog that I'm using has a lot of similar colors in it because the designers were clearly trying to go for a very similar kind of muted tone. And so it makes my job easier because I know that all the colors are kind of fit in with one another. So I know Kat's doing a cat. Is there anybody else who's choosing a different animal?
Here's Nikki.
Hi, Nikki. What are you working on?
I'm gonna do a snake.
Ooh, I love it. That's an awesome idea. What colors are you gonna make your snake?
Probably pink and gold.
Ooh, that's kind of cool. I like those color choices. All right, so now that I've kind of figured out like how I want to lay things on, and now I'm going to go ahead and start gluing down my strips.
Here's Kat.
What's up, Kat?
So I wanted to share the cat I have.
Yeah, let's see.
The side camera will turn around. Of course, the sun moves, so.
Oh yeah, the sun's a little hard. Hold on, let me, oh, that's a sweet little cat. I love it. It's a very realistic style cat. I like the hair, that you can see the fur on his tail. So I wouldn't add too much more detail for your drawing, only because you're gonna cover it up. So.
Right, yeah.
So I would stop there, but yeah. That's perfect. Perfect. Yeah, a lot of times when people are are collaging, they might not think to draw out their subject matter first, but it is super important because drawing out your ideas gives you a guide from which to work from. Let's see. So I'm just working in strips, and I'm just kind of keeping mine super simple. I wanted to get as much done as I could, so for mine, so I'm keeping my background shape super duper simple. And it's really fun to also like work with different styles of paper. So like one of your drawing or one of your pieces of paper could be like a newsprint is kind of fun to work from. Any kind of paper that's different. I like wrapping paper. I save wrapping paper sometimes because it has good patterns on it. Tissue paper is interesting. Tissue paper is just hard to work with because it's so thin. It can break or it can tear and rip really easily, but you can start thinking about like what types of paper. And sometimes the minimalist or my clean side is constantly at war with my art side, because if I had my way, I would save everything. I would be like, I'd save all of my recyclable materials and turn it all into art. But then the clean side of me is totally at war with that side, and so I have to like goes this way. So I have to I have to decide. It was easier when I was teaching it in a classroom. It was awesome because I had a whole closet that was like dedicated to just random supplies. So I would save everything and bring it all into the school, but can't do that at home. Otherwise I'd be living in like, I wouldn't, yeah, it would get real messy real fast. So, but it's kind of cool to think about what other materials you can use, because you don't have to go out and spend a ton of money on materials. Like you have stuff, we have tons of stuff. We have an overabundance of stuff in our nation. And so we don't, like, you can start thinking about how can you use the materials that are already at hand. Maybe that's old collages or old newspapers in my case, or maybe that's something, maybe it's something else. Maybe it's, you know, old recycled materials. So just start to think about it. All right, so I kind of have this background I started to collage it. I'm going to clean it up now. So I like to flip it over. I'm going to go ahead and clean up the sides, the edges. So I'm just going to trim to make sure everything is nice and even. There we go. All right, so here's my background. Here's my bird. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut out my bird. And I'm just not being too careful. I just kind of am cutting out the general shape around it. If you wanted now, you could always redraw your character on top of your background, or you could do what I'm doing, which is just cut out your already pre-drawn shape. So I know, and now I can kind of think about composition, where about do I want like this bird to go? Maybe I want it to be like off to the side. Maybe actually I kind of like it coming down from the bottom like that, kind of off to one side. So, all right. So now that I kind of have a general sense of where it's going to go, now I can start to think about where these where these pieces are coming from. So I know that I'm going to go ahead and start with like the branch that the bird is on. And maybe I'm just going to start with like a super dark black color. And I'm just gonna take this page out. This. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna draw it in just to have some guidelines of what kind of shape I wanted. Pencil. So it's gonna I'm just kind of drawing in some general guidelines of like where I want the branch to go. I know it's gonna end about here. It's gonna come in as a V here. So once I just drew in a couple pencil lines to kind of guide me. And now, because it doesn't have to be exact, but I can use those kind of pencil line guides and just kind of like going around, kind of generally cutting out the shape that I think I want. With a branch, I'm going to do it all in one piece just because it's so thin. It would be hard to collage multiple pieces for my tiny branch, but for my bird, obviously, I'm going to do it in lots of different pieces. And that's kind of coming up like that. It's kind of about what I want. It's about what I want. Yeah. All right. Now I'm going to really start to think about color. I did the branch, but I think I want the rest of my bird to be like brightly colored. Like I'm thinking maybe blues. So I'm actually going to look through my magazine pile and I'm going to start a collection of colors. Color collection. So maybe that's just literally cutting out little pieces of blues and colors that I like. These blue, I don't want it to be too muted. So it's the same thing. So if you did like a more muted background, then you have to think about how can I make this pop off the page. So I'm trying to find some brighter blues. This one. Oh yeah, old calendars. Yeah, you're right, Scott. Those are great. I love old calendars. You know, when I was living in Iceland, one of the cool things that Iceland did was that they just had a really good recycling program. And they didn't like the recycling in Iceland was that you didn't nobody came and picked up your recycling for you. You actually had to bring it to the recycling center, but it was always like a really fun thing because you would drive up and like you talk to the guy at the front and you would tell him what you had and he would like direct you which like area to drive over to. But the cans were super fun because they had this like really cool machine that you would put them into and you could actually see the cans getting sorted through this like machine. It was like a giant like conveyor belt thing. It would go in. It was like a what's it called? What are those machines? The Rube Goldberg machine, where like one like it would go one way, and then one can would knock this thing, and it would like go down this lever, and it was like just really neat. But one of the things that I loved about the Sorpa, they called it, is that they would put out this calendar every year about how awesome recycling was. And I kept all of my Sorpa recycling calendars because they were just so cool. You know what? On this one, I think I might cut some of these words. So all I'm doing right now is I'm color hunting. I'm just looking for colors that are in the blue family, that are nice and bright, that are in like a variety of tones, like from light to dark. And I'm making a collection of them. Blues. I have to say that I really love using, like, I like using construction paper, but I think I prefer using papers that have like newspapers and magazines, only because the textures are so good. You get really interesting textures and shapes and things when you're cutting out colors from a magazine versus just from like a solid piece of paper. Although that being said, it is kind of nice to like mix the two, to have like some parts of your picture be more construction paper and some parts of your paper be like magazine collage. A few more, and then I'm going to play around with what I have and see how I can collage this bird. Loose. Oops. One good thing is nice to have near you when you were collaging is a trash can. Only because there's lots of little pieces of things that go everywhere. Okay. All right, so I have quite a little collection here. I have my stem. I'm worried that the stem is like fading in a little too much to the background, so I'm debating doing this branch in a different color just to make it pop a little more, but also I'm not sure if I need to make it pop at all. Ooh, yeah, I like this. Okay, so I'm going to use, this is going to be my background. It's this pale, so I'm just going to kind of like, I'm just kind of tracing around a little bit this bird shape, just to kind of get a sense of what shape I might need my bird. And then I'm just going to kind of cut out around. So right now, all I'm kind of doing is cutting out the contour. So the contour is the outside shape of your animal. So I find it's easier to start with the outside shape, the contour, and then to work inside on the details. So you want to kind of start with a sense of what your bird's going to look like. So I know that my bird is going to be about that kind of shape. And obviously it's not done. I'm going to add in like a bunch more colors and a bunch more details, but it's going to be about that shape. And then I just keep using my pencil and kind of tracing around a little bit for the kind of shape that I want. So I know that this is kind of like comes around like this. And it kind of curves up. Oh, it's hard to see these pencil lines. You see in the light. There we go. Okay. So I'm really I'm tracing only to kind of get a sense of the contour a little bit. Okay. So here, I know that that maybe is going to be top of his head right here. Like that. Let's see if I can use the same blue over here. Is that gonna fit? Am I going to be able to fit this? Maybe, maybe, maybe. I'm just gonna trace this right here. And I can cut the rest out. So here's my bird. Here's its head. This is kind of back here where his wings are going to be, kind of like that. You can already kind of see I'm taking shape a little bit. I'll look through my blues. I'm going to find the right blue for his tail. Ooh, I kind of like these middle tones. So I kind of like, I'm moving this paper around because I kind of want to see about where, like what colors I like for his tail. You know, I kind of like this. So, and I keep looking back at my drawing because I kind of want to get a sense. So I know that this area is going to be a little bit darker. So maybe it's because it's the underside. So maybe I want to flip this around this way for the tail. Just to get a kind of sense, a general sense of where this tail is going to go on this. It's hard. You got to keep track of all these little pieces of paper. It's going to be about there. So I'm just going to, yeah, it's about right here. I'm just kind of sketching in about where the tail is going to go. And I always think it's better to cut bigger and then trim down if you need. They're going to look like this. And we'll see if this works. So I might need to fix, yeah, I'm going to need to fix this a little bit. I want it to be a little bit curved, but that's okay. I think I might actually start gluing only because some of these little pieces are hard to keep track of. So I'm going to start gluing down some of these and then I can refine with my scissors where some of the interior pieces of this bird. And I'm going to cut away parts. So when you're gluing, you kind of and I don't know if anybody ever told you this, and this is funny because I never learned this until I was like an adult, but you always want to put the glue down on the small piece. So when you're gluing, glue down the small piece first, and then work from there. Don't put glue on the big piece. Start with the small. Okay. So there we go. Okay, so now that I kind of have that, that looks weird, I know, but that's okay because I'm gonna cut it out. A little less weird. Still a little weird though, because of this. So I'm gonna cut this out right here. Here we go. Now it's looking more like a bird. I think I need to do a little bit right here. Like that. You can already start to see the shape of this bird emerging. And because of the colors I chose, when I put him on this paper, he's really gonna pop. I'm totally not done yet because I know I wanna add in so some different shades. Like I know this part right here, I want to be a little bit darker. So I might cut in some smaller pieces of a different tone of blue. And I know that I need to add in an eye and I need to add in a foot, but you can already kind of start to see this bird popping. Does anybody have anything they want to share, or I'd love to see anybody's work that if anybody has anything that they're working on. It doesn't have to be a collage. I know that today you might just be watching, and that's okay. I am fine with you just watching, and if you're drawing or doing something else, that I am totally fine with that. This is kind of more about. Oh, because yours isn't glued yet. Yeah, it's true. It also is really hard to share something that, like, yeah, because when you pick it up, it's going to like slide everywhere. Totally, Jay.
Nikki would like to share.
Yeah. Let's see, Nikki.
So far, I cut out my snake. I'm just putting the pieces on it so then I can glue it down.
Oh, awesome.
This is what it is so far. My gold, and then I'm gonna do pink.
Oh, I love those colors together. That pink is really subtle. Very pretty.
And this is my background.
Nice. Oh, that's kind of cool. So you have like a really bright background, which is gonna like contrast with your kind of muted tone snake. I'm sorry, my face is in shadow because I have the windows behind me. But that looks awesome. That looks really, really cool, Nikki. Thanks for sharing. Okay. All right. Yeah, I have to keep the light off, otherwise like it causes shadows on the work and you wouldn't be able to see what I was doing. So, ooh, okay. So a lot of this is all just kind of layering. It's all layering of shapes. It's layering of colors. Kind of I'm using my drawing as a guide to kind of get a sense of where. So like this line might kind of come up like kind of like that. Maybe. Let's see. Put it in here and see if that makes sense. Maybe. We'll see. I need to get a dark color under here pretty soon, so that will be it'll stand out. So the birds, like you'll see the shadow of the bird's neck underneath the bird's neck. I may or may not like this. That's not too bad. I think I need to make this shape a little toned down. More like that. Oh, that's not bad. Okay. Then I need to get a darker blue. So I'm sorting through all my blues now. I want to make sure I have a good dark tone. Oh, I used up all my darks. I might need to find some more dark blues. Got this. Oh wait, maybe this will work. Yeah, if I use this part of it, okay. I like this part of it, like right here. Sometimes a light box is really nice because you could like layer, and a light box could be really handy in this case because you could, if I had my drawing, I could kind of layer these colored pieces of paper on top of, and I would be able to get an exact shape. But, or we make do without. Oh. All right. He's coming along. He's coming along. So yeah, I think I like that. And this is going to go on top like that. And I pretty quickly need to like add in an eye. And then I think also maybe another piece down here maybe. So there's some shadows. So you're using color kind of, you're using strips of paper to think about where the highlights and the shadows are in your animal. So if your animal is close to the ground, then more than likely the underside of your animal is going to be darker. So that's kind of where I'm putting my darker strips of paper and my darker pieces that I'm cutting out, because that's where the darker colors are going to be. Ooh. Might need to keep like a wipe nearby if you have to wipe your fingers off so that your fingers aren't sticky with glue. Let's fix this one more time. This isn't still kind of cutting out a little weird. That's better. Okay. There we go. All right, so there's my bird. Maybe, ooh, what if I tried like, that might be too different. Maybe this. I like those. I kind of like this shade. If I like, so I'm just kind of moving pieces of paper around and seeing like what would happen if I did this? What would this look like? Kind of like that, this color. Let's see here. I am kind of using I'm using my computer screen as a little bit of a light box. I'm holding it up so that I can see it. The light box is really handy. Okay. Yeah, that's true, Scott. Totally true. Cereal boxes are great. Okay, let's see. I'm not sure if I'm going to like this or not. Yeah, it's too big. Sometimes you cut out things and you're like, no, that's not going to work. Well, that's okay. Cut this down to smaller and see if I like it then. And if not, then I will abandon this piece. But you want to save the finest details. Like, you notice that I haven't started doing the eye yet. You want to save those finest details for last. You're building things up little piece by piece. So it might be that like the original piece of paper that was on the bottom might not even be there. Like you might not even see any of the original piece that you cut out, or that you originally cut. Oh, I've kind of wish I hadn't glued this down. I wonder how stuck it is. I wonder if I put this underneath this, if I'll like it better. So yes, the cool thing about, yeah, I like that better. So the cool thing about glue stick sometimes is you can reposition if you're careful. Yeah, I like that. I just need to do something about it right down here. This color, kind of a nice color. Oh, I need to finish gluing this down. I actually kind of, if I wanted to finish this, I'm thinking like it might be nice composition wise to have a second bird over here. And I think for that bird, I would make him bright pink. or like pinks and oranges, like sunset, like bright sunset or sunrise colors, pink and orange. I want the eye to be bigger. Use this. Yeah, that's better. So it's kind of nice to have like a little reflection in the eye. Just will make it pop a little bit. So I'm gonna cut a little reflection out, just a piece of white paper. This might be too big, but let's see. These pieces of paper start to get real tiny real fast when you're adding tiny details. So, oh man, super little, super tiny. It's too big. Oh my gosh, it's so little and it's still too big. Like have it. So tiny. Ah, I can't even keep it in my finger. I might need a little glue on my finger to make this stick. There we go. Okay. That's the right size. Okay. Before I lose it, let's get some glue on this little baby. Before I lose this eye, let's glue it down. Okay. Are there any other questions that you guys have? Here we go. I don't know if you guys can see. Here he is. Starting to come alive. This little birdie. He definitely needs like a little foot. I need to add in his foot, and I need to add in a couple. I would actually just keep working. I would actually just keep layering some of these colors on here, but you can start to see how it you can work just by adding in different colors. Yeah. Oh, thanks, Tater. All right, let's see. Wrong way. Okay. Does anybody want to share? And can anybody share? I know it's you might not have anything glued down yet. Here, I'm going to turn my light on so you can see my face. All right. Yeah, Kat, let's see.
I started with one, and then I realized my magazines did not have enough of that color to make, so I switched. And it's not actually glued around, but I can turn around my camera. So.
Ooh, I like the colors that you've chosen. The greens, all those like kind of naturally greenish colors. Some good textures. Like
I'm using my grandma's old magazine, and she's into flowers, so there's a lot of greens and flower colors.
Yeah, that's well. Hey, I think I'm using somebody's donated food magazine, so hey, it works. Use what you got. Awesome. Thanks for sharing, Kat. I can't wait to see your cat's cat, your little kitty cat. Tater, let's see. What are you working on?
Hello. I haven't been doing a collage, but I made an image of Mushu, so.
Oh, he's cute. Nice perspective, or a nice I like the depth that you got from him. Very nice.
Thank you.
Nice. Awesome. All right. Well, does anybody else want to share? I know, Nikki, you're gluing, I see. Oh yeah, Nikki, do you want to share? Okay, I'd love to see.
I'm not done with the face, but I added the pink. It kind of looks like a rose, probably because it's from a book that's like fashion things, and right next to it it's like a calendar, but like I took it and it's actually flowers like on a thing. And also from this there's black, which later I'm gonna add as the eyes of
that's
this.
a good idea. Nice. That's looking really good. Thanks, Nikki. Thanks for sharing. Jay, you want to share?
Oh, I'm also doing a cat. Sorry, I'm trying to cut it out, but there's still paper hanging off the edge. But yeah.
Oh, that's.
It's not really anything yet, but yeah.
Yeah, but I like the colors that you've chosen.
Thanks. I'm trying to do like darker on the head and then lighter on the body, but.
That's actually that's exactly that was my the whole idea was to try to like think about shadows and it's all about color. It's all about thinking about like tones within color. So thinking about darker shades and medium shades and then lighter shades within that color. That's why I started off by making like a little color bank. That looks awesome. Really nice. Oh, well, like I said, I do not expect anybody to have anything finished by the end of a 1-hour class. These collages do take a pretty significant amount of time, but if you ever want to keep working on it and share next time, I'd love to see, like, for instance, if anybody finished their abstract collages and wants to share. Totally. I'd love to see anything you guys do, even if it's not a collage, even if it's something that you guys did with like Ben or Nailene or on your own or Daryl. So, all right. If there's nobody else who wants to share though, I think it is time. Thank you, Scott, for being the most amazing host.
Well, thank you, Lee.
Yeah, no problem. Bye. Yes. And you too, Tater. Have a nice day. Have a nice night. It is almost, I guess, 3:30 where I am. But all right. Okay. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. And I'll see you back here next Tuesday. All right. Bye.
Bye.